Hello, this is Tori Artist. I decided to make a video, probably a scary story, I guess. I'm so sorry for not uploading a lot lately, because what I've been noticing is that every video I upload, I know there's a lot of hate, but I'm okay with that. So the reason why there's no pictures is just completely black, is because I want you guys to try and imagine if that was you. So this story is kind of long, and it is called Follow the Arrows, and just kind of shout out to scaryforkids.com. So I'll start reading now. One evening, I met my friends Jeff and Dave in a bar for a few drinks. When I went to the bathroom and walked into one of the stalls, I happened to notice some writing on the door. It read, "Follow the arrows." I looked around, but I didn't see any arrows, so I didn't think much more about it. However, 2 hours later, I had to use the restroom again. As I walked through the door, I accidentally bumped the light switch with my shoulder and the room went completely dark. That's when I noticed it. On the ceiling, above my head, there was a trail of glow-in-the-dark arrows. They looked like they had just been there for quite a while. I was intrigued. I wanted to follow the arrows and find out where they led. I went back to the table and told Jeff and Dave what I had discovered. They were curious too. We decided to investigate. I went home and got a black light. It's kind of like a small flashlight, but illuminates things that are invisible to the naked eye. When I returned to the bar, it was almost closing time. Dave and Jeff were waiting for me, their faces full of excitement. I went to the bathroom and tested my black light on some of the painted arrows. It worked like a charm. They glowed brightly. We followed the trail of arrows as they lead from the toilet across the ceiling of the bar and out onto the street. With my black light, I searched around for invisible arrows on the ground. I found one. I followed the arrow, keeping my black light inches from the ground, waving it back and forth as Dave and Jeff followed close behind. A few feet away, I found another arrow, then another, and another still. I was following these arrows down a sidewalk for about 2 blocks. We started wondering where the hell these arrows were taking us. Finally, I got to an arrow pointing us in a new direction. It was a driveway leading to an empty lot that was surrounded by a tall metal fence. We couldn't see what was inside. The arrows led up to the gate. Jeff pushed on the gate, but it was locked. We decided to jump over the fence. Jeff went first, getting a firm handhold at the top, then pulling himself over. I put the black light in my pocket and took a running leap at the gate. Dave gave me a helping hand, pushing my legs from underneath until I tumbled over the fence. Then, Dave followed, holding himself over the tall fence with surprising ease. We found ourselves in what looked like an old parking lot. Weeds sprang from cracks in the broken concrete. I pulled out the black light and quickly found another arrow. We followed a new trail slowly, and it led us to a small shack in the middle of the parking lot. "I know what this is," said Dave. "It used to be a drive-in movie theater. I think that's a concession stand over there." As we approached the building, we saw that it was boarded up. There was some faded lettering on the wall that read, "Popcorn." Dave shrugged. So what? The arrows lure people to buy popcorn? We walked around the building until we came to a door in the back. It was secured by an old combination padlock. My black light picked up something scrawled on the door in glowing paint. It was a series of numbers. 1, 3, 5, 6. Jeff entered the numbers in the combination lock and pulled it open with a satisfying click. He pushed on the old door and swung open with an ominous creak. Jeff peeked inside. "I can't see anything," he said. I peeked inside the door, shining my black light. It was useless. I cursed myself for not bringing a real flashlight. Just as I was about to suggest we should head back home and return another day, I heard a click and a dim light appeared in the old building. Dave had found the light switch. "This place looks like it hasn't been used for at least 30 years, said Jeff. "Look at this parking lot. There are trees in it." "The electricity is still on," I replied. "Someone is still paying the bills." We walked in and saw that the interior was surprisingly clean, apart from a thin coating of dust. It was the sort of dust you would expect to find in an ancient Egyptian tomb. The shelves were empty, and a cabinet stood on the far side of the room. Dave walked over and cautiously opened it. "Wow, look at this!" he exclaimed. The shelves were packed with candy boxes. I recognized Cracker Jacks and Hershey's bars, but the labels were very old. Dropping my blacklight on the floor, I grabbed excitedly for a giant box of chocolate. Before I could examine them further, I heard Jeff say, "Guys, check this out!" He was standing over a hatch in the floor. He had pulled it up and was peering down into the darkness. "Maybe there's another light down there," he said. He went down the set of steps that led into the cellar, and Dave and I followed close behind, trying to find a light switch. I was halfway to the bottom of the stairs when I heard a click and a dim light bulb flickered in the dusty basement. "Found it," said Jeff. We walked toward the light, bumping into empty shelves and strange debris. Canvas bags, black sacks of potatoes, littered the floor. They were covered in dust. And on one of the shelves, I spotted some old film Can Sisters. We hurried over, reading the titles. It seemed to be mostly old monster movies. "Dracula Returns," "Night of the Wolf People." I didn't recognize any of the titles. We all jumped when we heard a loud whirring sound. It seemed to be coming from near the stairs, and it sounded somehow familiar, like an electric power tool. Through the hatch at the top of the stairs, we saw the shadows shift and change. At last, the sound stopped. We stood still for a moment, our hearts beating hard in our chests. Then, we all ran over to the hatch to investigate. My mind could not comprehend what it saw. The hatch we had come through only moments ago was now blocked by iron bars. Jeff ran up the steps as far as he could and grasped the iron bars, rattling them violently. They couldn't budge. There was some sort of mortuarized contraption attached to iron bars. It was so dark, though, that I could barely make it out. I reached into my pocket for my black light. That was when I realized I had left it upstairs. Jeff stood next to me and held up his cell phone. In the dim light, I could just make out a giant metal box that was mounted on the basement ceiling. If there were a way to access this device, I couldn't see it. Dave gasped suddenly and ran over to one of the canvas bags on the floor. He dragged it into the light and worked to untie it. When he was done, I saw him look onto the bag and make a sound I never heard before. Something between a scream and a moan. He started hyperventilating. Jeff and I ran over and looked into the bag. At first I couldn't tell what I was looking at. Then I saw the hair and the pale flesh. I dropped the bag and vomited violently. I tried to speak but vomited again. "Jeff," I gasped, my throat raw. "Your phone. Call the police. Call them now." I put my hand on Dave's shoulder. He was slowly rocking back and forth, trying to control his breathing and calm himself. I looked around. There were about a dozen similar bags on the floor. Jeff eventually got through to someone on the phone. He explained where the bar was and how we walked several blocks to a parking lot with a fence on it. He told them about the concession stand and the basement with the locked iron bars. I grabbed the phone. "Look," I said. "There are dead bodies in bags down here, dozens of them." The woman on the other end said, "Just stay calm. I want you to stay just online with me and give me your names." We told her who we were and answered her questions. I knew we conserved the phone batteries, but she was our lifeline out of this crazy situation. I'm gonna stop here now. There will be a part 2 of this, because like I said, this is a long story. Yeah.